All right. If you've been following my channel for a while, you've probably heard me talk about this before, but we are seeing something manifest, like currently, that I've warned about. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, I was right. There's no winning in this situation. So if you've played one of those Call of Duty Modern Warfare games, you'd seen the Yuri Bezmenov video, and he talks about the infiltration and undermining of another country's culture. There was another interview that guy gave where he talked about the fact that the Soviet government knew by the mid-50s that the people who were victims of the propaganda used to Stalinize the Soviet Union were irreparably brainwashed. There was no fixing it. If they had been told something because that's what they needed to be told to make the thing go, once the thing was going, those people could not be brought to reason if there was something they had been told that was not correct. And it was extensive enough that they did experiments and found that no amount of pressuring, presentation of facts and truth to them would avert them from what they had been brainwashed into believing. The term that they give this is demoralization. It really does not refer, this is the thing you've heard me say a bunch of times if you've been watching my videos for anything more than a year. Few of you have. Demoralization does not mean that you wreck the morale of the opponent. Demoralization means that you wreck the moral compass of the victim. What this is that in order to brainwash someone into believing something that isn't true, you have to disconnect their ability to tell the difference between what is true and false. Which incidentally ties into things like right and wrong, fair and unfair, true and untrue. All of these things are connected. And so you effectively rip the needle off of the moral compass for them and don't tell them that. And they think that whatever they're looking at is the direction of the moral compass. And this is the function that is said to be useful. Because to somebody that is trying to subvert another culture, to have people in that society of that culture have their moral compasses ripped off and not know it, whatever they're told is the case is what they're going to go with. But once they've been told, it's too late. There ain't no fixing it. And if you've been following anything I've been saying over the years back to when I was still on Facebook, I was warning in about 2017 and moving forward about the fact that people who are being lied to and manipulated and believing it wholeheartedly and diving in like a cause are going to have points in their lives where there's going to be a flat out logical contradiction meeting the wall at full speed, where what they're told versus what is are at a conflict, and that there are going to be people acting up and acting out. You probably heard me say that. Now we're there. And the problem is that it is a social thing. It is not just individuals being told truths or lies. It is groups of people, the groupthink, the tendency to go with the crowd, the tendency to tribalize and split. That once you have people that are already into a politically divided, ideologically divided scenario, to then say, oh, it's so-and-so's fault. This isn't just Trump's worse than Hitler. That's like an abstract. because Hitler's been so long that nobody, just about nobody alive today, could have possibly even laid eyes on the guy. Most of those folks are kind of getting on or about gone. So what you have is this divided, tumultuous, volatile scenario. Many reactants and catalysts in play, right? And there's a lot of these contradictions that are all coming forward. So you have people that say that Trump is a threat to democracy, but when he won in a landslide, that means that's democracy. The people voted. This is what they voted for. We're now getting the policies that we voted for if we voted for him. And on one hand, these are the same people that want you to stop talking about the evidence, not supposition, evidence of foul play in previous elections, subverting democracy. Well, they want you to leave that alone. See, there's a contradiction there, right? But there's more of that. And they keep building it up. And we are at like critical mass for contradictions right now. What we're looking at is within the course of a couple of weeks, going from talk of a No Kings protest number 3, which is itself proof of the brainwashing, the people that show up to these protests and get into it and say no kings and hold their signs and do their chants. There is no cause behind this protest. There are no demands for this protest. There's nothing rational or reasonable. It's just protest for the sake of protest. Keep them agitated, keep them in the mood. Manipulation. But on one hand, we're saying no kings, and on the other hand, we're getting very, very upset at the deposition of a dictator. We said that Trump was literally Hitler. He's going to refuse to leave office when his time is up and all this blah, blah, blah. Everything that they've said they think that Trump's going to do that he has yet to do are things that Nicolas Maduro has already done. So they got rid of that dude. You should be happy. That's a dictator, a bad guy, an oppressor. Gone. But it was the guy that they were already previously brainwashed into hating that did it. But we're going to fling-flang back and forth. I think I just made some words up. Flipping and flopping, waffling. But it's not really waffling, but it is bending a piece of metal until that piece of metal eventually wears out and breaks. It's a hinge pin. They're going to break the hinges off. They're going to become literally unhinged if they aren't already. Just less than a week ago, it's been like 4 days now, January 6th, talking about how it was an assault on our democracy, that people needed to allow the will of the people to progress and the peaceful transfer of power, grave attacks against our federal law enforcement. And here we are a couple days later, we're attacking federal law enforcement for doing the thing that the will of the people, the transfer of power, brought into play, because that's how it works. And they can't seem to realize. They don't understand. They don't see it. I don't think they can see it. I don't think they can be made to see it. It's already been pretty well established through a lot of studies over the last century that this type of brainwashing is permanent. All of these agitated morons are going to keep going out and keep throwing themselves up against a burning wall. Like this woman who pulled up with the specific intent of fucking with these dudes who are federal law enforcement. And then when they said, hey, step out of the vehicle, and then she fled. There's all kinds of crime shit going on there. All kinds of crime shit going on there. And then they want to get out and protest, and then the camera angles come out. But nobody wants to hear about it, and even the people on the news are like, well, I mean, still, like, you know, there's still like a 0.0000001% chance that this was not justified. If you really want to hate yourself, you really want to just bang your head into the wall for the stupidity, go watch tonight's Timcast IRL. They had this chick on here. The lady's name was like Erin Garcia. And they showed her proof and they said, what do you call this? Well, I mean, I'm still not 100% sure that it's him getting hit by the vehicle. And it's like, what do you mean? The part where he gets lifted up slightly, where he slides backwards, but you don't see any hip movement for the momentum. Like, you're asking for a scientific dissection like they would do in a trial, right? And in a scientific dissection like they would do in a trial, it would come down to, here you can clearly see the following. And they would outline what you could clearly see. And at that point, it would pretty much be acquittal. But these people are refusing. That was just one prime example. Completely refusing to accept or even view contrary evidence to what they've already been told is true. And literally the reasoning that is coming out is, I watched this heavily edited, editorialized video with a slant. Therefore, I know the truth. But they don't know the truth. That's the problem. They can't at this point know the truth. That compass needle has been removed unbeknownst to them. And only they can choose to build a new one. But to choose to build a new one means you have to have the fortitude, the willpower, and the intelligence, the self-awareness, all of the things that a person who is able to be fully brainwashed permanently lacks. That's what I got. It's really pathetic what I'm seeing going on. The amount of upset and unrest. Oh, but you're getting rid of people. These folks that have been brainwashed are not able to discern what is good or bad for others or for themselves. They are constantly being tricked into advocating, fighting for, voting for things that are contrary to their own best interests. And they are told to hate things that are happening that are for our best interests. Like making sure that the government's not being defrauded, that the government is not corrupt, that the only people that are in our country that are taking advantage of our government and our subsidies and systems are people that are supposed to be here, folks that can legally access the system. All of these very basic things to have a functioning society within the country in such a way that our government is not run by the mob. And they think that it is currently being run by the mob. Now, it was previously definitely being run by the mob. And maybe it still is. And maybe there's only fractions and parts of it that are breaking off, or maybe it's all just a big show. But the idea that we need to keep letting the mob run everything in the name of preventing the mob from taking over is completely asinine. But this is the type of twisted, can't tell their ass from their elbow mentality that all of these casualties of propaganda are going with. All I can say is, watch your six, be safe. You never know when it's going to come home, when it's going to come to roost here, wherever it is that you are. Don't think it's so far away. It can always come to where you're at too. These people are dangerous. They're a threat to us all. And it's not ideological. It's not political. It is a simple matter of fact. People that cannot think for themselves can be programmed into self-destructive ideology and then set about in the world are only going to ruin it for everyone else. Something's going to have to be done.